Hey y'all, what's up and welcome back to Hip Hop Urban Pop. Number 11, Kut Klose. After graduating high school in 1991, Tabitha Duncan moved to Atlanta with her boyfriend with high hopes of creating a girl group. Her then boyfriend, who was 20 years old, was childhood friends with singer-songwriter Babyface, and they ended up working as his assistants. Working behind the scenes, Tabitha gained all the tools she needed to form her own girl group. After getting her hands on Athena Cage's demo, she loved it and immediately got her on the phone to discuss starting a group. This led to Athena flying out to Atlanta. The third member, LaVon, was already in Atlanta looking to be in a girl group. She auditioned for the group after her production agency referred her to it. From there, Kut Klose was formed in 1993, with members Athena Cage, LaVon Battle, and Tabitha Duncan. The group's name originally was Nubian 3, singing urban contemporary gospel music, but was changed to Kut Klose. The name Kut Klose refers to all three members being short and all their heights being 2 inches apart. After signing with Keith Sweat, the group switched over from singing urban contemporary gospel to R&B. In February of 1995, their debut single, I Like, was released. The single peaked at number 34 on Billboard Hot 100 and was co-written by member Tabitha Duncan. I Like also peaked at number 25 on Rhythmic Top 40 and number 8 on Hot R&B Hip Hop Singles. Kut Klose's debut album, Surrender, was released on March 14th of 1995, peaking at number 66 on Billboard 200. Their album Surrender, produced by Keith Sweat, met moderate success, also peaking at number 12 on Top R&B and Hip Hop Albums, and number 4 on Top Heat Seekers. During this time, the girls struggled to make any money because Keith wouldn't let them tour or do any shows. They also stated that they were taking the city bus to work and were worried about how they were going to pay their bills. In 1996, Kut Klose collaborated with Keith Sweat on his single, Twisted. Twisted was a huge hit and one of Keith's most noted songs, peaking at number 2 on Hot 100 and number 1 on both the R&B and hip-hop songs and US rhythmic charts. Kut Klose also co-wrote Twisted, and the single sold over 1.6 million copies. In September of 1996, Athena Cage was featured on another Keith Sweat single, Nobody. The single peaked at number 3 on Billboard Hot 100, selling over 2 million copies. Nobody was written by Keith and Athena, also peaking at number 1 on both Hot R&B hip-hop songs and US rhythmic charts. Keith also took Athena on tour with him, leaving Tabitha and LaVon behind. Tabitha was always speaking up on things she didn't feel was right and what they deserved, and that created the narrative that she was problematic. Kut Klose began working with Missy Elliott for their second album, and Athena ended up singing all the lead vocals and the backgrounds. While working on the second album, Tabitha said Keith Sweat tried to break up the group, and one day on her way home, she heard on the radio that they were looking for 2 new members for Kut Klose to replace her and LaVon. She stated Athena was in on this plan as well. This caused a rift in the group that carried on until they disbanded. Athena then decided to go solo. Even though the group was disbanded in 1996, it did not get out of their contracts until 2003. If anyone wanted to do solo work during that time, they would have to get permission from Keith Sweat, and he would receive a portion. In 2007, Kut Klose performed with Keith Sweat for his Sweat Hotel live show. In 2010, they released a song titled Let It Ring to create traction for an upcoming album, LaVon Battle. LaVon continued working as a songwriter, working with other local artists, and she's also an entrepreneur, Tabitha. During the time Kut Klose disbanded, Tabitha worked as a nanny for a family of lawyers for the next 18 years that she says humbled her. Coming from a world where she experienced racism, she was taken back at how welcoming and loving the white family she worked for was. She spoke about how she raised their children and taught them how to love and respect Black people. She says for a white family, they were amazing people. She also has 2 daughters. Athena Cage. Before Kut Klose, Athena was background singer for Amy Grant and the Isley Brothers. In 2001, Athena signed a solo deal with Priority Records and released her debut single, Hey Hey. She also did a song, All or Nothing, for the Save the Last Dance soundtrack. In 2001, Athena planned to release her debut album, The Art of a Woman, but the album was never released. In 2003, Athena established the Athena Cage Scholarship Fund at Western Kentucky University. In 2004, the street Athena grew up on was renamed Athena Cage Way to honor her work she has done for her community. The group is currently performing together, with their most recent showcase being in 2019. Number 10, Eternal. Eternal is a UK girl group formed in 1992 with members Esther Bennett, her older sister Bernie Bennett, Kelly Bryan, and Louise Norriding. Esther and Bernie were discovered at a nightclub in London. After Louise was recruited, they started recording as a trio until Louise introduced her longtime friend, Kelly Bryan. Music manager Dennis Ingoldsby of First Avenue Records formed Eternal after seeing the success of En Vogue. Eternal was quickly signed and began working on their debut album. In September of 1993, their debut single, Stay, was released. Stay was originally recorded by Glenn Jones in 1990. The single peaked at number 4 on the UK Singles Chart and number 19 on the Billboard Hot 100, selling 220,000 copies. The debut album, Always and Forever, was then released November 28th of 1993, peaking at number 2 on the UK Albums Chart. The album is currently certified 4 times platinum in the UK, selling over 1.2 million copies. The album also broke records for being the first girl group to sell 1 million copies in the UK.
Stay, 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 stay with me tonight. Stay, stay, stay with me.
In January of 1994, the follow-up single, Save Our Love, was released, peaking at number 8 on the UK Singles Chart. The next 4 singles were released throughout the year, 2 reaching the top 10, while the other 2 peaked in the top 20. As of 1997, the album has sold over 4 million copies worldwide. On October 9th of 1995, Eternal released their new single, Power of a Woman, peaking at number 5 on the UK Singles Chart and number 1 on the UK R&B chart. The second album, Power of a Woman, was released October 30th of 1995. The album did not feature Louise Norriding because by this time she had departed the group to pursue a solo career. Louise also suggested that her friend Kelly leave the group as well so they could form a duo, but Kelly decided to stay in the group. Power of a Woman peaked at number 6 on the UK Albums Chart. The next singles, I Am Blessed, Good Things, and Secrets all peaked within the top 10 on the UK Singles Chart and in the top 5 on the UK R&B chart. The album went on to sell over 2 million copies worldwide. The next single, Someday, was used for the Hunchback of Notre Dame soundtrack and was also the first single for the new album, peaking at number 4 on the UK Singles Chart. A follow-up of the single, Do You Love Me, was released in February of 1997, peaked at number 3 on the UK Singles Chart and number 1 on the UK R&B chart. In 1997, Eternal released a greatest hit album that featured a new single, Angel of Mine, that peaked at number 4 on the UK Singles Chart and number 1 on the R&B chart. The single was covered by the R&B singer Monica, with her version of the single peaking at number 1 on Billboard Hot 100. In October of 1999, Eternal released their single, What You Gonna Do, that peaked at number 16 on the UK Singles Chart and number 4 on the R&B chart. In November of 1999, Eternal then released their 4th studio album. With one more member, Biting the Dust, the album only featured sisters Esther and Bernie. Kelly Bryan departed the group back in 1998 after their Party in Park performance was controversially dismissed by the Bennett sisters in a fact she received from their lawyers. The album received very little promotion, only peaking at number 87 on the UK Albums Chart. In April of 2000, a new version of the song, I Cry Real Tears, was set to be the next single, but due to poor sales of their current album, it was scrapped. Eternal was later released from their contracts and then disbanded. In 2006, it was announced Eternal would be reuniting to tour alongside Boyz II Men. At that time, Bernie was pregnant and Louise was busy with her solo career. The tour was ultimately canceled due to unforeseen events. In 2003, they reunited for a documentary called The Big Reunion. Louise, however, confirmed that she would not be partaking. Elbow Beach was released, peaking at number 12 with the lead single Two Face peaking at number 3 on the UK singles chart. In 2002, Louise signed a €1.5 million contract with Positive Records to record her fourth album for a 2004 release, but the album was never released because she became pregnant. In 2016, Louise was a contestant on Strictly Come Dancing, making it to the finals. In 2019, she signed a deal with Warner Music and announced her new album, which was released in 2020. Number 9. Zhané. Zhané was formed in the early 90s, consisting of members Renee Newfield and Jean Norris. The duo met while attending Temple University in Philly, where they were roommates. They often took part in various talent shows to help pay their bills. Renee and Jean were winning all the talent shows they entered and decided that they should perform as a duo professionally. Following this, the ladies wanted to come up with a unique name that represented them both. Thus, the stage name Zhane was born. It was a combination of their first names, Jean, and Renee with the French pronunciation. After taking countless talent competitions by storm with their win after win, word made its way to DJ Jazzy Jeff. He did not hesitate to feature them on their DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince album Home Base, with the track titled Ring My Bell. Although this may have seemed like a big win and presence on the new artist's radar, it was not the case at all. They weren't even featured in the music video. Following this, Renee and Jean spent countless hours going through the yellow pages calling record labels, hoping to get an audition. Fortunately, they received many offers, but ultimately decided to go with Queen Latifah's management company, turned label, Flavor Unit. They chose to go with Flavor Unit because they connected with Queen Latifah's mother, Rita. Renee says she truly believed in them. Queen Latifah then introduced the duo to KG of Naughty by Nature, and they made a great impression on him. KG quickly began working with them on their upcoming album. Renee says KG would send them a beat, and she would write the songs at home until the album was completed. One of the songs she wrote, Hey Mr. DJ, was featured on the compilation album Roll With The Flavor by Queen Latifah and her Flavor Unit crew. The album featured many popular hip-hop artists, but all the DJs at the parties took a liking to Zhané's record, keeping it in full rotation. Hey Mr. DJ was released on August 12th of 1993, peaking at number 6 on Billboard Hot 100. The single also peaked at number 2 on US dance songs and US rhythmic charts, as well as number 3 on Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs chart.
Hey DJ, keep playing that song all night.
The single became certified gold, selling over 500,000 copies. On February 15th of 1994, Zhané released her debut album, which peaked at number 6 on Billboard 200 and later became certified platinum, selling over 1 million copies. The second single, Groove Thang, was released on March 25th of 1994. The single peaked at number 17 on Billboard Hot 100, as well as number 1 on the US Hot Dance Chart, number 2 on Hot R&B Hip Hop Songs, and number 4 on the Rhythmic Top 40. The third single, Sending My Love, peaked at number 40 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it was then followed by a fourth single titled Vibe, released in August of 1994, that peaked at number 14 on the US Hot Dance Chart and number 33 on Hot R&B and Hip Hop Songs. A fifth single titled You're Sorry Now was released, though it didn't chart. In 1996, Zhané was featured on Busta Rhymes' single It's a Party and De La Soul single Four More in 1997. In February of 1997, Zhané released their lead single Request Line off their upcoming album that peaked on number 39 on Billboard Hot 100. The single also peaked at number 4 on the US Hot Dance Charts and number 9 on Hot R&B and Hip Hop Singles. The sophomore album, titled Saturday Night, was released on April 22nd of 1997, peaking at number 41 on Billboard 200 and number 8 on the R&B Albums Chart. The second single, Crush, released in May of 1997, peaked at number 24 on Hot R&B Hip Hop Singles. The third single, For the Longest Time, was a cover originally released by Billy Joel. In 1999, Zhané was featured on Naughty by Nature's single Jamboree. During the process of their third album in 2000, Jean expressed how she was interested in exploring a solo career. Renee was completely understanding about her choice, and they both made the decision to call it quits, officially disbanding Zhané. Renee. After Zhané disbanded, Renee was offered many deals, but she decided to produce music behind the scenes. In 2000, Renee was featured on the song Oh No No by the R&B group Next. In 2003, Renee provided her vocals for the album Hard Groove by the RH Factor. In 2005, Renee was featured on the song Mr. Officer by Cardinal Official's album Fire and Glory. In 2000, Renee got more in touch with her Jamaican roots when she was featured on Pete Rock's single Ready for War. In the years of 2010 through 2014, Renee continued to make featured appearances on singles, and in 2015, she released her debut solo single titled Watching Me. In 2019, Renee released a song titled Something to Believe, a tribute to Roy Hargrove. Zhane. After Zhané disbanded, Zhane began to discover herself musically and spiritually. In 2002, she got married to the musician Marcus Baylor from the jazz group Yellow Jacket. In 2007, Zhane released her debut album titled Testimony, My Life, and in 2011, a contemporary Christmas album titled Light Up the World. Zhane later formed a duo with her husband called The Baylor, and in 2017, they received 2 Grammy nominations. On April 10th of 2021, Zhane announced that her and her husband's sophomore album, Generations, would be available for pre-order, along with their single, Striving, featuring Kenny Garnett.